We are live. Hello, everybody. This is the Time to Shine Happiness Show on Tuesday morning, and we always come with a smile on our face and a smile in our
Absolutely.
hearts, right? And then my co-host down there, wonderful, and I'm glad she made it today. The other Barbara, the BB.
The other BBs? Yes. Good morning, everybody. Happy
Yes.
December. Can you
Oh,
believe it's December?
can you believe it? Can you believe it?
In
Yes.
some ways, this has been absolutely the most longest year. And yet now that it's December, it's like, gee, where's the year gone? So it's like,
I
oh,
know.
yike.
Well,
Yes.
for December, we have for the first week of December, we have a wonderful guest here, Lauren Wiseman. I'm telling you, Barbara, I always got to give you kudos for bringing in such awesome guests to
Oh,
our
thank
show.
you. Yes.
Yes. And he's a brand messaging strategist, and he has a podcast. What is it? What he'll tell us. I'll let him introduce himself. Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Lauren. I'm just outside of Orlando, Florida, where it is very cold today. We started at 39 today. I moved here to get away from New England weather, but what are you going to do? I was a drummer, a music producer, and I worked across television. I shifted into what I call moral messaging in messaging strategy. I do have a podcast called Wait, What Really Okay, which is a brand messaging podcast. And this morning we're going with hot coffee over the iced coffee.
Yeah. I know it is so cold here. And sometimes, I mean, it just takes forever to clean off your car. The frost is like, oh, brother. But anyways, but we're here. But yeah, Florida is cold right now. It is just crazy. But Montreal has had snow. I'm from Montreal, and they've had snow. So I'm grateful right at this moment that we haven't had snow.
No
So
snow.
Perfect.
no,
No.
no snow. So no snow. So I'm excited. So yeah, Lauren and I met on a networking group, and just what, I always love to bring on people that you hit it off with and that you like, and and just that have a timely message. And right now, so many people are having to switch from live events to online events, but you know what, messaging is still so important, and having people know who you are in your brand. And so I'm just so excited, Lauren, to have you on the show today. This is going to be cool. Give us some
Thank you.
words of wisdom of things that people can do, that are switching, and at this time of life, and what's going on in the world.
Well, it's a crazy time. And I mean, like you said, it's been a long year. It's been a short year. I think it's been an amazing year because we've uncovered where a lot of problems are inside of messaging, inside of how we communicate. If we
Right.
need to communicate face to face, or if we need to put on that performance with all the things around us, maybe some of our authorship and the performance of our messaging isn't as authentic as we thought. So for many people coming online, whether it be through a podcast, whether it be through streaming, whether it be through videos, this is opening the doors for people to identify their authority in a better way ever than before, to the true heart of who they are, to the true heart of their message, and allowing people to vet that, to practice the due diligence, to look in and say, is this all smoke and mirrors and shiny squirrels, or is there something to that? We've seen the life coaches, we've seen the business coaches, the gurus that had limited to zero success in the past create these personas. They're doing it still online, but it's a little bit more of a challenge. I believe in this time we've learned about the difference of how people act and react in love and fear. Certain people say, oh, I would never change regardless of the circumstance. The beautiful thing about 2020, and I feel terrible, and I pray for those that lost loved ones and those that have gone through harder times. But the beauty of this is we found out how people act with love in times of fear. And that is the root of all messaging to me.
Exactly, because that's been always one of my things, is that this is it. This is who I am, with all my foibles, all my mistakes, all my things that I just don't come on with. But I try to do it with a smile. I try to do it with a smile.
Mhm.
And like just even this morning with my computer challenges, it was like, all right, okay, Lord, you knew before the beginning of time that I was going to have this computer challenge this morning, and so help. And I have said that also about the pandemic. Uh, you know what? God knew before the beginning of time that we were going to be facing this. And I think so much of what's happening is how we are handling it. And
Yes.
because it is real. It is real. People and but you know what, we will get through it. It will end, and but what are we going to have left after it ends? That is where I think our messaging is going to come in. What are we
And
going to
that's,
have left?
and to me, that's some of where when we begin to shift, and for some people, the message is toxic. For other people, it comes back to forgive them for they know not what they do. But
Right.
the six key points that I love to share everywhere, that I ask people to consider, not that they need to do, not that they have to apply, but just to consider, is the subjective to the objective. In our opinions, in our heart, what are we stating that could be stated softer, not passively or submissively, with an opinion, and why we see that opinion to be true at the same time? So, and then when it's objective, to be able to line it out 5 ways from Friday. And if we can't, even if we know it to be an absolute truth, to phrase it in subjectivity offers an opening to many people that are being inundated with opinions that have shifted into false facts, and they're overwhelmed. So the two of you could come at someone in a beautiful way, but because you phrase it in a certain way in your messaging, their walls may remain up, their ears may remain closed. When we move to the opinion and the reinforced opinion, we invite for those walls to come down. We invite for a melody to be heard over the harmony and unison of so many others. The next 2 points, intention to perception. Many times inside of our messaging, and this is, to me, if I had to name the top 5, the Letterman, that old Letterman top 10 thing, this is right up there in the top 5 of the biggest problems we have in communication. Our intention is not always understood with the perception of our audience. And in that, it's not getting the perception of everybody to get it, but in our humility to come back to the soil of what we have and state, okay, I'm saying X, Y, and Z, and I know it true, and I know it's my heart, and I know it's my calling, and I know it's my mission. But can I adjust things to be aware of the people that have heard this from people that have less authenticity, less authority, maybe have even scammed someone? And
Right.
in that, now we invite them in to hear us while giving the respect that they may see things differently than we do, even if we're there trying to help. And then in the last 2 elements of authority and authenticity, they're more than buzzwords. When
Right.
we put together the authenticity and the authority means the protection of the message. If you want to take this to the Bible, Paul wrote letters that were written to be performed because most people couldn't read back then. So it was the performance of how we chose our tone, where we paused. Barbara, Barbara 1, Barbara 2, but Toastmasters Barbara, as you know, as a speaker, to be able to pause in confidence is not arrogance, but to be able, and you know, and I just, and it's okay to pause. And when we take time, not just in the authorship of what we write, but the tone, the timbre, the dynamic, and the pitch of how we deliver it, we have a greater chance of impact in love and moving people from fear than ever before.
Oh, that was so profound. I'm sitting there just
Yeah.
writing notes. I'm like, okay, he said how many? I was just like,
Exactly.
loving
Exactly.
it. I'm loving it. You know, the biggest thing I just want to say real quickly with what you said, Lauren, about, you know, being authentic. And I think a lot of people, either some people are used to doing it, and it's even increased even more for them now, going through this year, or then some people are not used to it and they're struggling with it. And I think there's like those two sides of it. And I just told myself, I always told myself, I don't mind being open. I don't mind. I'm an open book when it comes to me, because I always look at it as saying, for my messaging is, I want to make sure I can connect with people. And I can't connect with anybody if I'm not real to them with what I went through and what I still go through, because the connection to me helps them move forward and say, okay, you know what, this person understands me. But when you're so like guarded and not saying too much and being that, okay, this is this and this, and they're like, well, I'm not connecting you. You don't understand what I went through. But when you tell somebody, you know what, I had, I dealt with divorce, I dealt with this, I dealt with a death in the family, all this stuff comes out, then they're like, you're relatable, and that relationship builds.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's so, and that always can be a beautiful thing, especially today. You don't understand what I went through. You're absolutely correct. I can't understand it. I can't even imagine it. Now, in my experiences and what I've done and how I've honed that knowledge, I can help you. I may be able to help you, and here's why. Now you've shifted from all the overly promising, non-accountable people. That's another word I ask people to think about inside of their messaging. When they reach out to a client, to a potential customer, to somebody in the audience, I hold everybody that works with me inside of messaging, whether it's for an hour, a month, or a year, I hold them just as accountable as I expect them to hold me. We have one of the problems in messaging, I guess shifting to that, is the snake oil salespeople, and even some of the people that are true to heart saying, I can do with me, you'll get this. This is what you'll experience. In our humility and love, we can't tell anybody what they'll experience, what they'll fear. We have no right. But when we shifted to you may, and if you follow through, I had a client this morning that has had a massive breakthrough, and it was a lot to do with what she put together over time. There's another client where I said, we're going to have a final session and we're not going to continue next month because I don't feel that you're applying these things and you're heading in a direction that I have no right to judge, but I don't see it in a way that I can be of help. When we hold the people that we are trying to attract accountable, right, in our authenticity, we attract better people. When we state, you know what? I mean, for the real estate agents, I'm available 24/7 and I'm a family man. That seems like a contradiction. Tell me when you're available. Tell me when you're not. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I get up with her every morning. I put her to bed every night. I live here and not LA because I want that kind of lifestyle and I want to be that dad that I didn't have. And in that, no, oh, hey, can we do 7 o'clock call? Absolutely not. Well, can you move some stuff around? No, here's what I can do. And I'll even stay up later since you're in London and we'll do this after she goes to bed. But this is the life that I have. And I get a lot more respect for saying no and standing by my life, my love, my belief than trying to be anything for everybody.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, that's good.
You and me both. That is so profound. It's like with me, people look at me and think I am absolutely crazy. I live in a household of 14 people. There's 3 adults and 11 children. People think I'm crazy. And yet they say to me, well, how does it work? Well, let me tell you, this is how we work. Because we are all here, we're all individuals, we all respect each other, and yet once in a while it's a free-for-all because you have so many people. Get out of the bathroom, that kind of stuff. And yet it all works. All the kids, because some of them are acquired, some of them are my biological grandchildren, some of them are acquired through other guardianships, and some of them through marriage. But you know what? They're all sisters and brothers, and I'm Grammy. All of them.
Beautiful.
And that is so I can talk about, hey, you like I'm a personality science, hey, talk about personalities. Oh yeah, we have them all within this house. But you know what? Let's learn how they all work. These ones are loners. These ones are the ones that need to be hugged. These are the ones that the high five. Let's just go do it right now. Okay. And then there's the ones that need to plan. No. You can't tell me in 5 minutes that we're going to go and do this. No, you have to give me some warning. Those kinds of things. But it's so true. That is what is all about people. And that's about in relationship and in messaging. And because we have to talk to all of them, because we can't do, my favorite saying is we can't do life on our own.
But one thing I want to go back to what Lauren said too is, which is really important, messaging that you just said, Lauren, is about boundaries. And first of all, I commend you for being that great, wonderful father, because, you know, nowadays, some people, again, they get their job, they get in their business, they get, you know, they get so engulfed in that. And then you, like you said, they set these times for people because they're like, oh, I need to go with this client. I need to talk because they want this time. And then, like you said, you got to stand back and say, well, you know what? I have a family. I have, you know, children. I have a wife. I have a husband, whatever. And they're my all. That's why I'm doing what I do. So if you take a step back in that, it's like, okay, what am I really doing if I'm not giving the time for family? So I'm glad that you mentioned that about boundaries. It's
And
really
when we set
important,
those
right?
boundaries, it amplifies who we are. I had an issue with my daughter this morning, and it was we're talking about listening on the first try, and it was, we had a discussion about this last night, and then it came back to now it was 3 tries. So now, as to learn, we have to lose something. You're going to lose one story tonight at bedtime, and then the reinforcement of, you're not a bad girl. This is just bad behavior, and then always making sure I love you. I always love you. I love you even when you're doing things wrong. And it becomes something, and it's not saying that we talk to people during the day like they are children, but in having her, in having her in my life, it's allowed me to hone my messaging. She's 5 years old, and in all the craziness of all my backstories of music, of TV, infomercials, of the books, I mean, it finally really clicked with her. And I'm not saying that everybody has to have a child, but in that, to be able to look at the things and take that moment, and especially as we all come into the end of the year, what small shifts can we make in our messaging to have the biggest impact while protecting ourselves and amplifying ourselves among all these others? I mean, so we got BB. I mean, one thing, if I might add or have you consider, on LinkedIn, I see professional speaker, best-selling Amazon author, and personal development coach. I wonder if it's flipped around. Isn't the root of you in what you write on, in what you speak on, something inside of personal development coaching? And in that, at the same time, what kind of personal development coaching? A lot of personal development coaches, not a lot of use. So maybe it's more of a lead with a purpose, passion, and driven personal development coach. Then, speaker. You know what? You don't even need to put professional, and you don't need the Toastmasters thing. You stand in authority on your soil and your foundation that does not need to be hyped, where many other speakers that are coming up are trying to pretend to have that authority. The Amazon thing, author. I love right now, and I think coming into 2021, it's going to be about, what do you, I'm an author. What's your sales? I don't want to attract you with popularity. I want to attract you with authority. I write about this kind of development, and here's where my heart is. I have a book, a couple books, and the publisher wanted to do the second edition. They wanted to put the little bestseller thing in the upper right corner. I fought it tooth and nail, and it was a hybrid publisher, so we were half and half. And as a joke, you'll appreciate this, I only have one copy of the book left, physical copy, and I use it to hold up my computer a little higher. Now there's a little self-deprecation there. It's funny, but at the same time, when people go to Bookstat or they go to the LOC sites, you didn't mention this. I didn't. I'm glad you found it. I'm glad it's something that attracts you to me. But I am going to, in 2021, and I ask others to consider to do the same, let's not use the framing and the phrasings that offer authority but can be purchased. Best-selling Amazon books right now for $497, you can get one. That doesn't take, and Barbara, that doesn't take away from the authority and the achievement of what you have. I'm just saying, in the differential of all the others, your impact to come out with this type of personal development coach or personal development coaching focused on this hit me. So as soon as I see you, I feel an impact of authenticity, authority, integrity, and something that is different from a lot of the same people using the same words. I hope that was coming in love. No fear there. I'm just bringing a thought.
Oh, I love that you brought that out, Lauren, and that's good. Thank you for using me as an example, because I think people need to understand that. I always talk about being unique, and you have to be unique. And sometimes I look at myself, I always talk about messaging. It's funny, we have you on as a messaging expert here and everything, in coaching, because you have to be unique in the categories of what you do, especially if you're saying you're a coach, you're an author. Those are like the main things that we always hear. But like you said, Lauren, if you bring it out in a different way, people will look at you in another light, like you said, another authority level. So yeah, that helped. In fact, I took notes. I said, right now after this, I'm going to be updating LinkedIn.
Yeah. The last time I talked to Lauren, I changed my LinkedIn page. I changed my LinkedIn page. He said, and I'm like, okay, went and did it.
We have so many of us that we have these wonderful seeds, and it comes to us at the best time. The problem that I experience or see common, and this goes from multi-million-dollar companies to small mom and pops, we plant the seed in bad soil. Or if you want to take it to a parable level, we plant it on stone, we plant it on path, we put it in the thorns of our ego. So when there's something, so say something like the Time2Shine happiness show, where is the distribution beyond the StreamYard and all these other things? Does this show go up onto IMDb? Does this show go to places that have greater authority for it, the impact to happen over time? So it's not to say, oh, maybe 5 people, maybe 10 people, maybe 500 people. But when we put out content to showcase our authority and see it in endurance and continuity, that's where the impact happens. Because many people, they're just putting out the fast thing. I want you to like this, comment, follow, share this, do that. It's yell, tell, sell. If we invite people in, if you come to my website, laurenwiseman.com invites, go where you want. There's no funnels. There's no directives. There's nothing. There's information. And if someone is attracted to learn more, it allows them to make that choice over, and then get this, and the top 20 secrets. And, all the hype that we hit 2020, 2021, when we step back from that, we step up above a noise and a distortion of people in fear trying to sell everything.
Oh, see, this is good. You're right. When you said about the funnels and stuff, I was like, you know how many emails? Oh my God, emails that I get. Probably you do too, Barbara and Lauren. Of okay, get this, and then when you buy this, you get this, and one more thing before you close down, you can buy this too. I was like, this is an ongoing process. And sometimes they give me with the first one. Like if it's, well, this for $7.99, you get a list of this. I'm like, okay, I can get the list. And they say, well, with the list, you can get coaching. And then that's more money. And then with this, and I said, forget it. I'm done with the $7.99.
And that's a lot of these people, all they're doing, it's to me, it's bad wealth. It's not creating true wealth. It's not creating wealth communities. I'm with the Fish Stewarding Group. One of the core elements, it's stewarding strategic solutions, but it's also asking people to create wealth communities. And wealth can be good money, good knowledge, being with that personal development coach, that person inside of health, that person inside of finance and real estate, but not those that necessarily, here's my $3.99 and my $4.99 package. I was part of a production of a multi-million-dollar infomercial, and it was amazing. The lowest product was a 99-cent product all the way up to a $999 one. And everything about it, as we're sitting there writing, it all had to fall into a directive funnel. And it was viewed, the top of the funnel was stupid immediate spenders. And I'm like, what? And they're like, the SaaS, stupid immediate spenders. That's all we need. We just need to grab this much of the market. We paid our way onto Good Morning America and the Today Show. And the whole payment off of that was not someone to buy the big product, but a whole bunch of small ones. And and I get it's a different style, but to the Tony Robbins and the Grant Cardones and the John Maxwells that set up these pattern programs that to me are not in moral grounding and not in good faith. But more so, I want you to come out and I want you to see me 19 times. Inspiration without information, motivation without a metric direction. We are finding at a time, and this especially for both of you, in a competitive and comparative analysis, we've got more coaches on the sidelines than players on the field. So it's not necessarily identifying the problem, but showcasing all the experience, all the knowledge, everything that brought you to this point. And then if someone wants shiny squirrel or shiny thing over here, they were never for you anyways. And then that differentiates you and opens the line to invite the best clients for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
I know me and Barbara like,
Yeah, right now for myself, I mean, same thing. I get inundated with things, and so much of it is like information overload. Oh, and the shiny object, and so now it's like, yeah, no, I am, like I have got my things that I am absolutely focused on. Because for me now, I have realized that personality is where I want to be. But so now it's hone your skills, hone your message, get it out there in the most authentic way. Because, as I said, my favorite saying is we can't do life on our own. We have to get along with the people around us. So let's
Yep.
learn how to do it effectively. But it starts with me. It starts
And
with me.
when we take the time to realize not just the little mistakes are learning experiences. I have a quote out there. It's a joke. I said mistakes are not learning experiences if you didn't learn from your mistakes.
If you didn't learn
We have
from
many
it.
people crutching on no. It's failure is fine. Failure is never fine. Failure is never fine unless we have the humility to understand it. I said this. I said this to an audience right before things shut down in Las Vegas in February, and it was this backed up group. And I said, I learned more from my failures than I ever did from my successes, because in understanding why it went wrong, I knew what to avoid, what to bring, what to relate. There's certain successes I had in music and television, even with messaging, and I don't understand fully what happens. So people are like, I want to do something just like that. I'm like, okay. As opposed to I want to do something like this but not go here. Well, I know everything that went wrong. I have a full series. Like when I do these things called brand messaging discoveries, and it's not just let's dig in and find some core messaging or taglines, but more so let's have the research guys. I call them my little minions. They look at comparative, they look at complacent, they look at the cadence, they look at a whole bunch of other things so that it's an impact without an attack, and it allows messaging and concepts and titles to come through. Everything from there's a custom teddy bear company, and this woman, and she's finally now the light went on. She now understands the heart of the beauty and the intricacies and the curations of what she creates, but now she gets the markets that she's trying to reach, and in a way that is so authentically true to her story, her authority, her failures, her successes, and everywhere. So as people come alongside, they love coming along, not being talked down to, and they want to see vicariously, they want to see her succeed.
Exactly. Just because when you attract your own tribe, you want the people that think the way you do. And like that's with me with personality. There are certain personality styles. It's like, okay, fine, yeah, I can work with you, but I'm not quite as comfortable. I'm learning. Absolutely. But I think that's where it all comes through, is just being able to say, hey, you know what? I'm still learning. I'm not there yet. I'm still
learning. Also maybe for you,
some of it, let's learn together.
Maybe for you too, in respecting your authority, maybe it's just not the right fit. I ask everybody in every service level to be able to list, hey, these are people I don't work as well with or don't want to work with. And by sharing content about you, what you offer, the bulk of my content, the bulk of my website, podcasts, videos, quotes, that's for the 95% of people I'm not going to work with. I'm still gifting what I know, what I share, what I believe, what I see. Then the 5% will come in. When we are stewarding and not selling, we connect with the right people that we want to connect with for sales, and we still gift the rest of the world.
Right. Like with me, I have no problem saying that I am a woman of faith. If you have a problem, with working with somebody who is going to say, hey, you know what, God told me to do this, or God told me not to do this, or this is how I feel because of this. It says in the Bible that we will do, to never grow weary of doing what's right, because you'll reap at harvest time if you don't give up. But you have to work for the faith, for the people of faith. If people don't want to hear that, they're not going to work with me, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's like I've had people say to me, well, why do you quote the Bible all the time? Well, because it's a huge part of my life.
A lot of wisdom.
It's
You
a
know,
huge part
Lauren,
of my life.
I was just thinking about what you said about, people say, well, you learn from your failures, or you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's such an old saying. I mean, you hear that all the time. But when you said you spun it the way you did, I was like, you're right. Because I think, to me, when I make a mistake, or, I fail at something, I'm always in the positive mode. I always tell people to flip it, say, okay, you failed, you made a mistake, let's flip it, let's move forward, let's learn from it. So I'm thinking, if you don't learn from it or get something out of it, like you said, to move forward, then basically it's like, okay, yeah, you made a mistake. So now what? I mean, you made the mistake. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that? And I think that's
Many
what you're kind of saying, to say, think that through. And, mistake is not good. So you got to learn from what you did. So maybe you won't do it again, right? I mean, that's how you kind of look at it.
and
For
you,
me
I mean, you
myself,
haven't,
I
you
think.
haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. I think, Barb, exactly. And for me, one of the things that's where, like, when Lauren was first talking about being authentic. Okay, yeah, we all make mistakes. This is what happened. This is what I did. This is what I've learned from it. Because then you give permission to other people to also say, you know what? I made the same mistake, but I didn't do what you did to get past it. This is what I did. So maybe when I'm faced with this, I will do what you did to get past it, because you're learning joint. Like, I can learn, like when Lauren said to me, change your wording on your LinkedIn profile. Oh, great. Yes, let's do it.
And
You take a suggestion and learn from somebody that's got a little bit more experience or wisdom or just different perspective.
Yeah. Because like you just said, you don't know what you don't know. Like, Lauren just gave me a wonderful tip, and it's going back to that example. Well, I didn't know that. I'm still learning how to message and make sure, in every area of social media land, as I call it, and beyond, to do things. And when, a specialist comes to me like Lauren, or even you, Barbara, you mentioned certain things, and I didn't know that. So I admit, so you have to admit, I feel like admitting, either if you don't know, or maybe you did know and you don't want to admit that, hey, they told me this, make me look bad. People go in that little mode, and I'm like, okay, forget about looking bad. Just fix it. Just do what you got to do. Admit it. Be
That,
authentic about it, and just, move forward.
for
that's a
one
great
of my
idea.
favorite things. Yeah, I always say, fess up, take the heat, and then move on. Take the heat and then move on. So,
And we add that extra piece to say, okay, it's not being negative to learn from it. It's to sit there as you're sweeping it up. We have a generation, many are pushing away any kind of mistake. It's start over, forget the past. We forget the past and we repeat it. And in that, for us to take those small elements, and that, again, the nuances of what you share and how you protect it. I mean, this all the way down to the quotes. Barbara, to point at you again there, you have, and I took this in my notes, because everyone has something special within them. The diamond factor equals your purpose, passion, and drive is your foundation to encourage a person to move forward despite the trials and challenges in your life. Maybe that's in one of your books, or maybe it's in a couple of your books, but is it on Goodreads? Is it on Own Quotes? Is it on some of the other quote sites? Oftentimes, and it's not from a negative place, but we put out beautiful messaging and concepts, but we don't allow them to harvest in other places to be found to bring them to us. We have an expectation that with the content we provide, we will be found. If we build it, they'll come. But if we build it and then replant it and move that seed over here for it to point back, then we begin to build beautiful branches that invite people to find that. That quote that I said, your mistakes aren't learning experiences if you aren't learning from them. Google that. It points to me. And it's not because I put it on my website or on a couple social media sites. I added it around different places. I love, and I know this sounds crazy, I love plagiarism. When people plagiarize me, I have no problem with it at all. Because if somebody that particularly I want to work with, they'll look at certain things that they saw on other sites, they'll search it, and most of my stuff is protected, so it points back to me. If somebody uses my words, my authenticity, something that is mine, and it leads them to somebody else, that's not someone I'd necessarily want to work with. As we begin to stretch our message, and I mean, Barbara, if you want to take this to the Bible, It couldn't just stay in Jerusalem. We had to move. They had to go up the coast. They had to go to Rome. They had to go into England. They had to go into China. It was moving out. And in the same way, we move out by sending messengers. And these are messengers of content, of a quote. And quotes are great because it's the first capture. Then of that video, that short video, that under 2.5 minutes, 3 minute max video. Then the longer streams of the podcast. You begin to layer something, and it draws people to feel that much more comfortable with you because of all the others screaming, work with me, I have authority, work with me, I have authority, work with me, I have authority. You begin to showcase, here's some authority for you to work with. And after they've had enough of that authority, after they've been empowered, it brings them back. That other thought, she helps empower people to understand their purpose, passion, and drive, especially women. Barbara, empowering people, especially women, to understand purpose, passion, and drive. That small nuance, it's not semantical. She helps empower. Everybody helps. Let's move that part of your bio and your message into the moment. Empowering people, especially women. You're showcasing the wide scale. You're showcasing a focus. How are you doing it? An understanding of their purpose, passion, and drive. To face, overcome, and resolve those challenges because everyone has something special in them. You're more powerful than the words that you have on the page. And I'm sure that once they meet you, it is a lock, it is there, it's done. But if all of us invite with that consideration and work, not the semantical, but the engagement, the message, the performance of people reading it off the page, hearing our voices, then they reach out that much more organically, and it becomes that much more true.
Looks like and on that note, Barbara's went play. Oh, Lord. I don't know. Are you still there, Barbara?
I am here.
Oh, okay.
Talk about, I forgot to turn off my do not disturb.
Oh. Well, Lauren, I mean, first of all, I can sit here for another 30 minutes or so to hear what you had to say, but we had to be respectful of your time and everybody's time. But Lauren, first of all, any lasting wisdom from you for the listeners before we close?
Coming back to those points, the 6 points, and doing them in reverse. The authenticity and authority, they're not just words. Is it authentic? Is it authoritative? Is it the truth, not a truth, not your truth? Because then as you push that through, it's heard and it's invited in. Next, coming to that intention to perception, just like we said, certain things that we're pushing through, performing, authoring, when we realize that perception and not being perfect for every perception, but inviting a humility and an understanding that, wow, maybe even though that is an accolade and it's a true accolade that I love to my heart, maybe I'll leave that or put that below the fold and focus on inviting people in so that they see the bestseller, they see the other phrasings, they see the speaker stuff almost second to the power that's in there. And then inside the subjective to the objective, the aspect of accountability, of asking people to be as accountable for the work that they can do with you, for what you can provide if it's a product or a service. When we take the time to set the sound foundation, and lastly, to, like I said, putting the quotes on sites like Goodreads, putting the videos and audios on sites like IMDb, moving the content around to allow people not to be funneled in, but to see pathways and journeys that constantly compound a new level of trust, a new level of faith, a way for them to say, I see you as different without you saying I am different, can allow an attraction, not a law of attraction, but a love and a trust in a volatile time when it comes to communication, messaging, and marketing. I'll close with this: messaging before marketing. And when the message is sound with the foundation, everything can be built on top of it that much more effectively, saving that much more time and cost that much less to get out. I invite everyone to take a look, 2 steps back and 1 breath pause. Look at the message. Because once the message is sound, the authorship, the performance, the direction, the strategy, then everything you create afterwards will compound and grow over so many people that are marketing. I'll do this. I'm going to throw 1,000 balls up in the air and they crash down. When you hone your message to your heart with love, not fear, and with integrity, humility, and honor, it is an explosion of love and authority that people will hear over the melody and harmony of everyone else saying the same thing.
Wow. Wow. Incredible.
Awesome.
We got to bring
Lauren,
you back.
that was wonderful.
You got to come
Thank
back.
you.
You got to come back. But, I think I'm
We'll
going to
have to
leave
have
with
you
this.
back in the new year.
Yeah, we're going to have to. We're going to have to. But I just wanted to say, too, and I think this is where a lot of people, that's why, Lauren, I love what you're saying about, take that pause and do the messaging before the marketing. And I think we all get caught up where we need credibility. We got to show credibility. We got to show that we're, with this, we have to be the expert in what we do. We got to show it. So then we start talking about, our books and where we speak. And like you said, the titles and all that. And we list all that. And we say, okay, there's our credibility. And then we miss the whole other part of it, what you said. And it's like, okay, is it really showing the true credibility of it? Or you're just listing a whole bunch of, titles that you have and saying that, you have this. So I'm glad that you're centering the heart of it. And that's what it's all about. And I think a lot of us need to remember that. So I'm glad you brought that to our attention. That's wonderful.
And to that, for certain people have those books they're this skinny. They went to sites that wrote 90% of them. They're like, oh, we'll do content for you. Is that a good idea? Is it better to slow out the content? Is it, I would leave that as the last thing. Do the due diligence, double check the people that you want to align with and you want to consider. Because just as you want to develop your messaging and marketing, the people that you choose to work with to develop your messaging and marketing, if it's for the sale or for the hype, more can come to harm you from the wrong person or the wrong people organizing a message that is not you. In the end, if you are telling your story, that will bring your credibility because no one has your story. If you are telling a story, then you're just looking after popularity.
That's all right.
Exactly.
Okay, Barbara, I better stop talking. Barbara, take it away because I'll be talking to Lauren for another 30 minutes. So
I know we are going to have you back again, Lauren. This has been great. And, and it's exactly true, is tell your own story because that is what makes you unique. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That is what makes you unique. And that's what people are going to respond to. That's what people are going to respond to. And exactly. Because there's 7 billion people on the planet. And there are people out there who think and do and want what you have to offer. If you're doing what somebody else does, then you're not going to attract the people that you're supposed to have, that you're supposed to attract. If you're trying to do somebody else's story. No? That's my thing. I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. But everybody's definition of happiness is totally different. Okay.
Yeah. We're not robots. We're all different in this world. So that's awesome. Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the Time to Shine Happy show. Thank you, Lauren. Again, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you today. And you see that we want you back. So we're going to be very nice.
Yeah.
And
I
Barbara,
hope it gets warmer in Florida for you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's crazy. You got the same temp that I have because I live in Wisconsin, and you got the same temp.
And I'm here,
I'm
here in Chicago. Here's Chicago. This is
crazy
weather.
So,
crazy weather.
Warm up.
Keeps us humble.
It keeps us humble. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful Tuesday. And as we always
have an awesome day.
Smile going in your face and in your hearts. Bye.
Okay.